This is CNN Breaking News.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Erin Burnett, and out front tonight we begin with breaking news. A massive path of destruction across a suburb of Oklahoma City. It was a 2-mile-wide tornado that has torn through this area. It happened late this afternoon. Nearly 200,000 people were in the path of this storm. As we said, it was in a suburb of Oklahoma City. The National Weather Service believes that this storm was packing winds of between 166 and 200 miles an hour. 2 schools and an entire swath of homes were completely leveled. When you look at these pictures, you won't be surprised that locals in Oklahoma who have been covering this story have said this is the worst they have seen in one person's time, 18 years covering tornadoes. We're now hearing that 6 fatalities from the tornado in Moore, Oklahoma are on the way to the office of the chief medical officer and examiner. This is just in the past few moments, and with all this devastation, it is horrific that we're hearing about these deaths, but we had been hopeful that there perhaps would have been a miracle. But as we said, about 6 right now reported. You're looking here at live pictures of the elementary school where they are still looking for survivors. The Oklahoma University Medical Center has 20 patients, 12 adults, and 8 children right now are in trauma rooms. A helicopter pilot for CNN affiliate KFOR described the damage as he saw it.
It's completely destroyed. The houses are destroyed. They're completely leveled.
All right, that was the Plaza Towers Elementary School in Moore, Oklahoma. The picture we were just showing you a moment ago, one of 2 elementary schools reported hit by the tornadoes. And our affiliate KFOR is reporting there were 75 students and staff at that Plaza Towers school when the storm hit. Now, the rescuers are still combing through the debris right now. And according to our affiliate, students in kindergarten through 3rd grade are unaccounted for at this time. A reporter there described that scene.
We do know that the 3rd grade class was in a hallway in a classroom taking refuge from the storm, and that part of the building is completely gone. There are no walls standing of this school. It is wiped to the foundation. It's just nothing more than a big pile of debris.
Nick Valencia is live from Moore, Oklahoma right now. And Nick, I know you're just a few blocks away from the Plaza Towers school. What does it look like to you?
It's completely ripped apart. This neighborhood, Erin, is demolished. It's devastated. When we got here before some of the first responders. In fact, some of the residents we saw when we first arrived on the scene, they were looking for their loved ones. A young man and his friends, they were looking for his house. He couldn't find his home. It had been completely blown away. If you look behind me, the devastation just stretches as far as the eye can see. Just in the distance there, I don't know if you can make it out here from our signal. It's kind of rough, but there's smoke billowing in the distance, and that's the direction of where that elementary school is that was leveled and hit very, very hard by the tornado. All around us, Erin, you see these homes, walls torn down, telephone poles put on their side, cars with windows blown out. I'm standing in a field littered with debris of the homes. I want to bring in a couple of residents here who were in a storm shelter at the time the tornado hit. They took refuge. Emily, tell me what happened.
Well, we were just in the storm shelter, and it sounds like a freight train coming through, and your ears get all clogged up, and you can't hear anything but the tornado. And the handle was jiggling on the shelter, and
now,
it cracked the shelter.
There was reports that there was going to be another round of severe weather today. Were you guys prepared for this? Were you guys ready for this to come through this area?
No, not really.
We were in there for a few minutes before, we heard all the noise coming through. Like she said, it sounds like a freight train, and we immediately got underneath the stairs, and then that's when everything just started shaking and the shelter cracked. I mean, it
blew like the top of the shelter off.
The wind was so hard it cracked the shelter.
Yeah, like inside, like where we were.
Most importantly, how are you guys doing right now? How are you coping with this?
We're shaken up. We're gonna go find her son.
My other son. He's at one of the other schools. I need to make sure he's okay. My other one is okay right now. But
you don't know where your son is?
At Southmore High, no.
How old is your son?
He's 17. My 12-year-old is okay though. They just got him, so I'm good.
Her 4-year-old actually goes to Plaza Towers, and we were over there searching for her for how long, like an hour, and we got her. Yeah, she was safe, but there's still kids trapped and stuff.
Now, Emily, we're hearing a lot of devastating reports about Plaza Tower and just how hard it was hit. You just came back from there. What was it like? Set the scene for us.
Well, I mean, there's the back of the school was still, like, the walls were standing, but everything else was, like, there's cars thrown, like, on top of teachers. Like, Cheyenne said, or her teacher said that a car was, like, laying on top of her, and she was laying on top of Cheyenne, which is her daughter, Christy's daughter. Yeah.
Well, our thoughts and prayers are with both of you. We're just glad that you survived. You guys been through a lot tonight. Erin, these are residents that really put a human face to what's going on here. Behind me, the neighborhood is just wrecked. We're on the edge of a cemetery. We had to take back roads to get here. I-35 was shut down. We drove through flooded streets. Traffic lights were out. We saw first responders speeding. In fact, the traffic was so bad, traffic was impeding the first responders. So we're hoping that everybody in this neighborhood is okay. But as I mentioned, residents just sort of wandering around this area with blank stares, just bewildered by what ripped through here. Erin?
And Nick, you know, hearing their story just brings home the fact that when you see this devastation, so many are unaccounted for. When they're saying still running to look for their children. I mean, it's just incredible what these people are dealing with. I know that back in 1999, there was a storm that went through Oklahoma that has been known for its ferocity ever since. And this one is at least twice as big as that storm. And I know in that storm, nearly 50 people died.
We were listening to local reports on the way into town, Erin, and local news reports were comparing the damage and catastrophe here to saying it was maybe 2 times to 3 times as bad as that 1999 tornado in Moore, Oklahoma that cost more than $1 billion of damage here locally. Residents were talking about that. In fact, when we were watching this storm develop, when we were watching the tornado and that severe storm cell develop, residents that we were around were talking about that. They brought that up. They said this could be just as bad as 1999. The funnel cloud was just so enormous, and it just kept going. It just kept going. You tend to see tornadoes, oftentimes they hopscotch through land and area, and this tornado just went right through this neighborhood, all around me, behind our cameraman, to behind me, this all around. Homes destroyed, and this area leveled. Erin?
All right, Nick, thank you very much. We're going to be checking back in with Nick. But those women and how they're still looking for their children who are at school bring how frightening this is and how little we know right now about the human toll that these storms will take. Let me bring in Chad Myers right now. And Chad, obviously there are a lot of places under threat tonight. This, you know, happens, these storms we've been watching over the past week, right? When we saw them in northern Texas. Now this hitting an area that has 200,000 people brings home the power of these storms in a way that we have not experienced.
You know, you look at Oklahoma on a map or go to Google and you do the satellite and you see a lot of land. You don't see many cities, but the cities that you see are right in the way of a tornado like this. And eventually a tornado is going to get there. You know, it's almost like a random event. There's no such thing as a bubble over a city or a heat island that's going to stop the city from getting hit. That just doesn't exist. It's just been a long time since we've had a big tornado hit a big town like this. There's a tornado on the ground here southwest of Dallas, 100 miles southwest of Dallas, but it's on the ground near Blanket and Comanche. Tornado on the ground east of Henrietta in North Texas, one on the ground north of Ardmore. So this isn't over, even though we don't have them in big cities and we don't have them on TV, no helicopters flying to show you these tornadoes. There are still people being affected, not in the town of Tulsa that has moved away, Bartlesville moved away, but a brand new watch has just been issued for St. Louis for many more hours to come. Any little cell like that one that's by itself, see that one guy? They can become supercells. They're not arguing with any other cells. They use all the energy for themselves. They begin to spin like a top, and they'll put down a tornado. We do know that this tornado was at least an EF4, 166 to 200 miles per hour when it was on the ground. I have seen homes, and I've seen many. I've been watching these pictures for now hours. I've seen homes that are completely gone. There's nothing left except the slab of the foundation that they were built on. That indicates it could possibly be above 200 miles per hour,
Wow.
getting toward that EF5 number. The Weather Service only watching these aerials at this point. They'll be on the ground tomorrow to make sure.
And Chad, how big is this relative to the historical norm? And this is a tornado alley. We get tornadoes here, but this one, you know, twice as big as the now mythical 1999 storm in Oklahoma. I'm just thinking on Wednesday, it's going to be the 2-year anniversary of Joplin, where 161 people lost their lives. When you look at what we're seeing right now, relative to history, the pictures seem to indicate this is close to unprecedented. Do the facts support that?
Absolutely. Something else that's unique about this storm, Erin, is that about 8 miles west of where it touched down, there was nothing. There was a thunderstorm. And then 5 minutes later, there was a funnel. 5 minutes after that, we were EF2, and then 5 minutes after that, we were EF4. This developed so quickly. The warning system worked, but the first Moore tornado, 1999, people had an hour's notice. This was on the ground for an hour before Moore. This time it was on the ground for 8, 10, or 12 minutes before people had to get underground if they wanted to survive. That's the difference, and that's what caused this to be the unique one, is that it didn't last a long time. It was 30 miles, but it didn't give us a lot of warning, didn't get on the ground long enough for those people in a major city to get out of the way. Sometimes you want to drive out of the way. That's the worst thing you can possibly do with stoplights and traffic. You wouldn't want to be trapped in your car with a tornado like that.
That is incredible. 8 to 12 minutes warning. And again, with the unfolding story we're watching with the 2 elementary schools and the 1 Park Towers, everyone, as we have been reporting, they have not yet accounted for all the children. You're looking there at that school where they are trying to find those children. But people had said, gosh, how could that have happened? Well, you just heard Chad explain 8 to 12 minutes of warning. Obviously, we are all hoping for some miraculous outcome for those children as we follow that story tonight. We continue our breaking news coverage of the devastation in Oklahoma Outfrount. That elementary school, a desperate search and rescue mission underway. A representative from the Red Cross is going to be out front with an update on what's happening at that school next.